Welcome, everybody. Glad you're coming on the show today. Glad you're listening. We're glad to have you with you, and thank you for taking the Sunday to spend with us. I'm Ray Smith with my wife, Sandra Johnson, and our guest host, John McClain. Hi, say hi, everybody.
Hey.
Hi.
On our show today, we have John Spur, the owner of Inspired Life Mortgage, and later on the show, we will have Tiane Kennedy, who is the Public Relations and Development Director for Gap Ministry. Can't wait to talk to her. But right now, we got John on here. And John, we're going to go straight into the mortgage stuff. So starting off with the fact that things change. And this is why you got to have a conversation with your lender often.
Yeah, if you're in the market right now looking for a home and you need to be working with a lender that you talk to and communicate with on a regular basis. And when you say things change, I've been comparing the current market we're in to 1981, which had a giant spike in rates. And a few months later, we had a drop.
Right.
Well, in the last 2 weeks, we've had the single largest drop in mortgage rates that we've had in 41 years.
You hear that, everyone?
Single largest drop in mortgage rates that we've had in 41 years.
I feel like we should all be cheering right now.
I don't know why that's in the background.
There's not sort of like crowd always going on, right?
Yeah.
In one single day, rates dropped 0.5%. And what's really ironic about this was just like, I don't know, dumb luck on my part. The day before, I had done a presentation for a group of people comparing the current market we're in to 1981 and giant rate spike. And I go, it might be tomorrow, it might be 6 weeks, but we're going to see a giant drop. I woke up the next morning, rates dropped 0.5%. Now, that's just pure dumb luck. I don't have a crystal ball. But hey, if you're better to be lucky than good, right?
Yeah,
right.
sometimes.
I hope you followed up with everyone in the class and said, did you see I was right?
A lot of them in there were financially savvy and watched the news, and my phone blew up with text messages.
Nice.
It was great. So, but yeah, no, things change significantly. And I think one thing we, as a group on the show, have been talking about 2-1 buy downs, 3-1 buy downs for several months.
Yeah.
And I think the rest of the industry finally caught up to this whole concept of 2-1, 3-1 buy downs. Well, when rates were 7.5%, that was relevant. They're not 7.5% now. They're mid to low fives. At least I can get mid to low fives.
Right.
Just do a permanent buy down. Let's buy it down to 4.25. It's going to be a couple of years before we hit 4.25 again. Why do a buy down for 1 year and then another year and your rate slowly goes up? If we can get you into low to mid fives, let's use that money that the seller's willing to give for that temporary buy down and do a permanent, get you into high fours.
With that being said, how much would that come out of the buyer's pocket?
It's going to really depend on their loan amount because buy downs are always a percentage of the loan amount. But you're probably looking at about 1.5% of the loan amount to get into that range, which is, I mean, cheap money. If you can get into the fours, it's going to be a while before we see fours again.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a great option. And Raymond, you asked about it coming out of the buyer's pocket, but that could come as a seller contribution as well.
Absolutely. I mean, every contract that comes through now has a seller contribution on it. And it's funny saying that because a year ago, every contract that came through, I was worried that the home wouldn't appraise.
Right. This has been a market where, you can't go on vacation for 2 weeks and come back and pick up where you left off.
No.
Well, I mean, we're all old school. This is like a G-ticket ride at Disneyland.
Yeah, agreed.
I would have to say so. So we have a client that's looking right now, and some of the listings are mentioning that 2-1 buy down. And that's the conversation we're going to be having today is when that listing went into MLS, that was probably a great option. But now that it's been in there for a few weeks, it's no longer the best option for this client. So again, we just can't say enough how important it is to have a great relationship with your lender. And it's important for us as well.
Right.
That we're in good communication with the lender because that's not in our lane. And so we rely on you, John, to keep us abreast of what's going on in the market and to make sure that we're getting that offer written in such a way that our client's going to benefit the most.
But you think that having great partners is the reason why we do this? I mean, the fact that we have a good partner, someone that we can deal with, we know that our communication we're on the same page. And when things like this come up, we don't hear about it 2 months later. Like this 2-1 buy down, we were hearing about it. We were talking about it on a radio show for a while. And then I started seeing everybody else talking about it like, oh, thanks for coming around. But now things have changed and we're right again. We're at the beginning. We're at the precipice. We're right at the beginning of the stuff. Starting again. This is what you should be doing. So we always have to be ready to relay this information to our customers.
Yeah, and actually, John McClain, you've been seeing this as a consumer, and we weren't even talking really this kind of language when you were buying, and it's only been a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We were just talking about this, or we're going to talk about this on our show. Yeah. Whereas, when me and when I got with you guys and I got with John, and we initially started looking for houses in July, I said I didn't want to start looking in October, and he said I should have started getting ready in January.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, that's definitely that's advice we extend to people that are looking now. They're saying, okay, I want to wait a little while until things cool down or whatever reason. Even if you do, quote unquote, want to wait a little while, start getting your stuff together now, because there's a lot that goes along with the process than just looking for a house.
What is the saying that luck is preparedness meeting opportunity?
Yeah.
And really, I think that applies here. You want to be prepared, and then when that opportunity comes, you may shift a little with the market, but you're prepared, and you can take advantage of those opportunities.
30 years of experience helps. I've been through these up and downs. I have a good idea what to expect. I've had many years of looking at mortgage history and real estate history, and that all gives me an edge to where, again, I don't have a crystal ball, but I can kind of predict and get a good idea of where things are going to go and what the next viable product's going to be, so we can stay ahead of the curve.
I think, to me, it's options. You always come with options, and people don't seem to realize that sometimes the first response is the first response, but after something else happened, here are other ways you can accomplish this.
You brought this up before, and I'm going to say the same thing I did before. Ray, do you like being told what to do?
No, I do not.
Absolutely.
I can tell you that is 100% true. Not that I ever tell him what to do.
We go to a restaurant and we open up a menu and we expect choices, right? If you walk into a restaurant, you open up the menu and it tells you you're going to have dried chicken, dried potatoes, and a crappy salad, you're not happy.
Right.
And I just look at it from that standpoint. Everybody's mortgage needs are unique, and there's going to be unique options for them. And so it takes a little bit more time for me, but I'd rather give you all the options that are on the table so that we can figure out what fits your unique financial needs.
And I think not only are you looking at different products, but depending on what my goals are, am I going to be in the house for 2 years? Am I going to be there for 4 years? All that is something that you're taking into account, and you take the time to work with that client and make sure that the end goal is in mind as well.
And do you have that conversation with them? How long you plan on being in the home? Is that something that comes up?
I have a series of questions, and they're not written out anymore. Jenna sits in the office, and she, if she were here, she would tell you that every time I talk to somebody, she goes, it's the same order, it's the same question every time. And yes, one of them is how long do you plan on living in the house?
Okay.
What are your future plans? This is your forever home. I spend a lot of time asking pointed questions, and then listening and building a picture, and then go back and offer options.
Awesome. When we come back from the break, let's talk about some of the loan limits have changed, and another change in our market. Let's talk about that. And
if you're looking to buy or sell your home and you have any questions concerning real estate, we would love to help you. Please call the Johnson Smith team at 520-850-1725 or 520-904-7711. We're here with John Spur of Inspired Life Mortgage, and we'll be back on the other side to continue talking about mortgage information. So thanks a lot for listening. Talk to you soon.
You are John Inspired, John Spur.
Thanks for staying with us, and we are here. You're welcome back to the I Am Real Estate Show with John, Ray, and Sandra, and we also have John Spur, who is the owner of Inspired Life Mortgage. And let's get back to talking a bit about rates. You were saying something about limits.
Yeah, no, the loan limits. All of our fun 3-letter and 4-letter government agencies out there have decided that they are going to increase conforming loan limits. And so what that means is, if you are over a certain dollar amount on your loan amount, now that number is $726,200. If you're over that for your loan amount, you would have to go into what's called a jumbo loan, and requires more down payment, higher interest rates, tougher underwriting, so on and so forth. This is a fairly significant increase, especially for the Tucson marketplace, because if you are doing 20% down, you can darn near buy $1 million home now and still be in a conforming product and get those great low conforming rates. The other thing this has done for us is it's brought the FHA loan limit to $435,720, which basically means you can go use FHA financing 3.5% down and buy a $440,000 house. Now, this is dating myself, but when I first got in the mortgage industry, the FHA loan limit was $97,000. So, I mean, but I think that's huge for Tucson for the 435 FHA loan limit.
Yeah, I don't think we see a lot of FHA buyers qualifying necessarily for that $400,000+ house. Are you seeing that come across your desk?
I use FHA as a tool. I don't use it as, does this particular borrower fit into FHA financing? I use FHA as a tool. Does this make more sense than putting you in a conventional loan?
Okay.
I have people come to me all the time for a conventional loan with 5% down that qualify for $400,000 loan, but their credit score is so bad that their mortgage insurance is ridiculously high and their rate is high. FHA doesn't have the same loan level pricing adjustments for those lower credit scores, and their MI is not credit score driven. MI is the same for every FHA buyer. And so I look at FHA as a tool. And so, yes, I do put people in FHA loans at the higher loan amounts because it's the right product for them at the time.
When we do pre-quals and it is a FHA, is there like a comment section that we can put in there to let the buyer, rather the seller, know that, hey, this is a really good buyer. We want to go in FHA because that's the best product out there? Or something like that. I don't know.
And I think you guys have seen this on my pre-approval and pre-quals that I give you. First of all, I pre-approve, I don't pre-qual, and so I give you that pre-approval letter saying we've passed the big hurdles, right? We've passed income, we've passed credit, we've passed the assets, the underwriters looked at them. But yes, on the PQF, the pre-qualification form Arizona requires, on the bottom, if they're a well-qualified borrower or they're pre-approved, I put in there, very well-qualified borrower, pre-approved, please call John Spur, so that the buyer's agent or the seller's agent knows where they're at.
Yeah, sometimes if you're competing for a house, as agents, we may call your lender and, we may have two offers that look fairly similar, and it comes down to which one of these buyers is better qualified. And when you have a lender that's proactive like that, producing a letter as well as the pre-qualification form, available to talk on the phone and just kind of give you that confidence in the buyer that they are well qualified, it can make a difference.
Yeah,
you
can imagine.
You can put an escalation clause in that beats someone else's price. That's what we used to do. Today we don't have to, so why would you want to do that if you could just be the stronger buyer?
Right.
Correct. And you guys have heard me say it time and time again, I don't get paid until you get paid. And so my philosophy is we are absolutely a team. How do we get across the finish line? And, the less offers we have to write, the better for all of us, right? Just find the house they like and get them in it.
There's an emotional roller coaster you go on when you're in a market where you're writing several offers. You didn't get to do this, John McLean. You just picked the house and you won.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, there's an emotional roller coaster that goes with falling in love with this house and then writing the offer and then not getting the house and then you're heartbroken and then you're into the next offer. It's really stressful sometimes for a buyer.
And I've come in those scenarios where I'm the second lender. They've gone through this with a lender and maybe even another real estate team, and it doesn't make my job harder, but I have to win their confidence and say, look, you know what? We know how to do this. We know how to get it done. And there's a order of operations that need to be followed to get it done. But I've seen it. I've seen people that feel like they're just beat up and they don't want to buy a house, and having the right team makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Well, if you were in that market where it was so competitive and we were writing offers over asking price and competing with other buyers, this may be your time.
Yes.
I mean, having a good team behind you, having the right product when you're looking at your mortgage, it actually could be a great opportunity for people that have kind of stepped out of the market.
I encourage anybody that was looking in June, July, August, September, even October. I mean, rates hit 7.5%. It kicked a lot of people out. Rates are not at 7.5%. I can get you into mid-low fives, which is going to let you buy a lot more home. And you don't have lines of people bidding on houses. You don't have bidding wars. And there's definitely more inventory today. I don't know what the actual amount is, but I know inventory is up today than it was 6 months ago.
Yes.
So if you'd been looking 6 months ago and got discouraged, give us a shout.
How do they get a hold of you? So,
They can reach me on my cell phone at 520-247-3610, or you can reach me via email at john@inspiredlifemortgage.com.
we usually do that at the end of the show, but you had a great conversation. I want to make sure that it wants right into the facts how to get a hold of you.
One day I'll have your seat, Ray.
You showed me something on that.
Oh, goodness.
You know me, I'm good with it, man. I'll do something else. Life's good. I saw something on the internet that said at the fastest rate in 15 years, 7 real estate analysts and economists break down how bad they think it's going to be. Tell me what you got to say to these Debbie Downers.
I'm tired of the clickbait, right? Negative media sells, negative news sells. I read that article top to finish, or top to bottom before I sent it to you. And the thing that is, I believe, completely left out of that is we have a lot of, I believe, realtors that are still not pricing homes correctly. And the price is too high. And so they have to bring that home down to get it in line. These guys that are writing the articles, all they're looking at is, list price dropped 2.5%. List price dropped 5%. Well, there's no way to account for how many of those properties were not listed correctly to begin with. And
Right.
I think you guys know that listing a property for the right price is significantly more important than, trying to get the biggest bang for the buck. And that article was, unfortunate that it was sent out, because I don't believe anything about what they're saying in this Debbie Downer doomsday home values are going to plummet.
We still do have buyer demand. And that's something we have to consider. And maybe not all markets are, not maybe, all markets are not the same as our market. We still have a legitimate buyer demand. And I think that is going to, keep our market healthy, not crazy like it has been, but certainly keep it healthy. And we're looking forward to that. And we don't plan on taking any extended vacations here from what we're doing. We're all working, so.
I think the current rate environment of being in the mid fives is really going to help stabilize things.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think we're right where we started from. And it's the same thing that Sandra and I have always explained to people, that you got to start somewhere. Always start now, and then if it's not where you want, you're exactly where you were a month ago, but at least you're more informed. And that's what you guys do. You give the information, and then you're a much smarter buyer. You know what your buying power is, and then you can move forward.
Absolutely.
Hey, we'd like to thank John for coming on the show. This is John Spur. He is the owner of Inspired Life Mortgage. He is one of our key sponsors, so we're so glad to have him on the show. He's been helping us out, making sure that you guys get some great information as you move forward. So we'll look on the other side. On the other side, we're going to have Tiane Kennedy, who is Public Relations and Development Director of the Gap Ministry. I want to thank John for coming on the show, buddy.
Oh, it's fun as usual.
We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the show. You're listening to the I Am Real Estate Show on KBOI 1030 AM, The Voice. Right now we have Tiane Kennedy, who's Public Relations and Development Director for Gap Ministry. Welcome her to the show and talk a little bit about the Gap Ministry. How you doing today, Tiane?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
The first question is, how did the Gap Ministry get started?
Well, we're in our 23rd year, and it really started with the founders, who are still our executive director and president, Greg and Pam Ayers.
Wow.
Both walked away from successful careers in the banking industry after losing a couple of good friends, and one of those life changes when you just decide, okay, is this what we're supposed to do with our lives?
Looking for some purpose.
Yes. And so they thought they were going to be pastors. They thought they're going to go into ministry, serve God, and then realized, no, we're not supposed to be pastors. We're supposed to care for the widows, the orphans, the hungry, and the naked. And so then the next question was, well, how do we start? And I love showing people, because you guys have been to Gap, and when people come and see Gap, it's huge.
Right.
It's on a 5-acre property, 55,000 square, foot. But it started with 2 people that cashed out their 501k, went and said, okay, let's buy this property. It's still one of our properties that we have our kids on, Splash One, and bought it and thought, well, we can put kids here. There's kids that need homes, and we have food in our pantry. We can start kind of a little pantry in our garage. So they started very small and took donations, and would go out, put signs up in Northwest Tucson. If you're hungry, if your family needs some help, contact us and we'll bring food to you. So it started like that. They got licensed to be a group home, because being a foster parent, they could only have 1 or 2 kids. Became a group home. they had 2 kids of their own and ended up adopting 4 more from the group home.
Wow.
And that was our first one. They were the first house parents, and now we have 6 of them. We've had up to 14 at
Wow.
certain times. And it's a house parent model where we have a husband and wife couples that it's like a family. The houses are nice. I could live in any one of our houses. They really
That's
are.
awesome. You don't
Yeah.
see that, often.
That's the whole thing is they've always said, why would we treat these kids any differently than we treat our own kids? And like I said, they adopted 4 kids from the group homes, and they now have 7 grandkids, and not one single one is biological because their daughter's handicapped, so she is not married. Their son ended up having 2 children out of foster care adoption, and then the other kids are adopted kids, and they've had biological kids. So, it's kind of cool how God works really,
Yes.
Full circle. They did something that you would say, well, that's really, wonderful they did that, but they're the ones who've been blessed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's awesome. Who is the population that you serve primarily?
well, gosh, that's such a hard question. Because GAP does so many different things. And I always like to tell people that we kind of started with foster kids and then helping people in need. But the whole purpose, I would say, if you wrapped it up in a nutshell, is to stop these cycles. We can look at, we've cared for foster kids, probably counted it up a year or 2 ago, probably over 3,000 in the 23 years that we've been
Wow.
doing it. And it could go on from now till eternity, unless you can figure out a way to slow down the breaking families and kids coming into care, or do some repair on the other end, either with the kids that come into care so they don't repeat the cycle with their own children, or even some of the families. So a lot of our programs are on the front end. We have the community warehouse, we have the feeding programs, and those, our intent behind them is to help people that could otherwise be on the edge of crisis. That maybe that's, they can pay their electric bill, they can stay in their house, they can keep maintaining. It doesn't put them over the edge where the family begins to fall apart. And then on the other side of it, we are licensed by the state. Besides the group homes and foster care licensing, we also have, we do supervised visitations with families whose kids are in foster care, and then nurturing parenting skills. So those are to work with the families and try to help them to learn how to be parents and be reunited with their kids in a healthy manner.
How many facilities do you guys have at this time? I mean, locations rather.
We just have one location
But
as
it's
far
just
as our
huge.
main location.
You moved, right?
We did. We're
Okay.
at Prince and the Freeway, and we have a 5-acre property. Before we were a long-term lease. We were in the same place for 10 years. The lease ended this year. We found a property that's 5 acres, and we're saving about, I think it's about $20,000 a month by not leasing. So right
Wow.
now we're doing a lot of renovation. We're spending it on buildings and fixing that up. But after that, that will all go to programs. So we're really
Wow.
excited about it.
Now,
And
you didn't mention it, but you have training as well.
Yes, I forgot about the career training. See,
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
just
problem.
So much. Yeah.
That's on the back end as well. What we found with that is a lot of people coming into the training or coming out of incarceration, drug addiction programs, and they've touched foster care in one way or another. We didn't even really intend that. When we started the training, we were thinking of foster kids aging out.
Mm-hmm.
We needed help in our kitchen. And we thought, well, let's make it, they can come help and we can teach them skills that if they don't want to go to college, this would be a viable skill.
Mhm.
What we found when we have right now, actually in the class we have right now, we have 2 kids that are former group home kids
Wow.
taking John's class. But what we found that really took off was with people coming out of incarceration and looking for a fresh start in life. And that's been really fun to see people. And then what we found from that is they had been kids in foster care at one time, possibly, or their kids are in foster care because
Wow.
they've been in prison. So it is kind of a full circle thing. We've seen families get, the mom get a stable job, get housing, and be able to get reunited with their kids early. So
Can you-
that's been fun.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of the training? What I'm interested in is the culinary one.
Mm-hmm.
And so, a first question I had: do they become chefs when they come out of that class?
They do actually.
Whoa.
The guy that teaches at John Hahn is a former Tucson Iron Chef. He's won the Iron Chef Award here locally. He's been at Ventana Canyon, Tucson Omni, Tack Room, when the Tack Room was around. So he's a really good chef, but he grew up in the Flowing Wells School District. He was a kid on free lunch in a very low-income family. So the training they're getting from John, any chef in town, all the chefs know him and know if they're coming out of John's school, they're going to be well-trained. We've got, we were just talking about it the other day, that the sous chef up at Blanco is a graduate from last year.
Wow.
And we have a lot of people that go to Charo. Had people that have been at Say's Kitchen and at, oh gosh, we had the girl that was the pasta chef up at Dove Mountain. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about what people can do as far as tax credit to help you guys out.
Well, that's one of the easiest ways to help here in Tucson. I love it because, first of all, you keep your money in Pima County rather than sending it up to Maricopa.
Yay!
And secondly, then you can pick an organization that matches your values.
Right.
And so we qualify for the foster care tax credit, which is a separate one from the school tax credits and the charitable. And it's $1,000 for couples, $500 for singles. And it all comes back to you. So it's kind of a no-brainer, really. And that really helps us to be able to do a lot of things we couldn't do if we didn't have those tax credits.
How do we get a hold of you? How do they get a hold of you?
Our website is gapmin.com, GAPMIN.com, short for ministries.
Hey, we're glad to have. We're here with Tiane. Let me get this
Kennedy.
right. Tiane
Yeah.
Kennedy, who's the Public Relations and Development Director for GAP Ministry. We'll get on the other side and talk a little bit more about the great things that GAP is doing for our community. We're glad to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome back to the I Am Real Estate Show. We're here with Tiane Kennedy, Public Relations and Development Director of the GAP Ministries. And before the break, we were talking about the different career trainings you had. We had talked about the one that does culinary. What other ones do they do at the GAP Ministry?
We currently have warehouse and retail. We
Uh-huh.
did have auto tech, which we love, and we won again, but MPG Automotive sold out they got bought out by a California firm. So we aren't partnering with them this year. So we need a new auto tech partner if anybody's out there that wants to partner with us.
You can say that again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll reach out to Sean Furrier over at Jack Furrier and
Yeah.
see what he says.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
But we have warehouse training because we have a 55,000 square foot warehouse that we put last year. We did 2.5 million out of there in food and other products to
Uh-huh.
people in need. And so we decided why not train people
Okay.
if we need help in there, and let's get them trained. And so we started that this year. I think we've had 2 classes so far. We're on the 3rd, and they're getting forklift certification. A lot of times they're getting basic things like sometimes they haven't finished their GED. We have some things like that, or
Cool.
stuff like that. Just mentoring people that
Yes.
like, let's get you going, let's get you on your feet. And now you've worked in a warehouse, so it's going to be a lot easier to go to someplace like Costco or Amazon, and you've already got forklift experience and some things like that. Then we want to add CDL training. That's what we're
Yes.
trying to do
Mm.
next. Is get a semi truck. Matt wants us to get a semi truck. We're writing some grants for that so that we can do CDL.
That's
That's
great.
awesome.
be
We
awesome.
need that so much.
Yeah, I mean it's a very good career. You
Sure
get
is.
out there and make 90,000.
Right.
So that's one, and then retail because we have the thrift store, Treasures and More, that is part of Miracle Center, which Miracle Center and Gap are the same thing, or they're under us. We're together, we're partnering, and so anybody that goes to Treasures and More, it's supporting both Miracle Center and Gap. So we're doing some retail training, and we have got that's going to be really good too.
And that's it on Pima, right?
Pima and Craycroft.
Pima and Craycroft. I have actually done a lot of shopping there. And being in real estate, we're always picking up artwork and things
Uh-huh.
like that. You guys have people from, I've heard anyway, that you have some of the estate sale companies that you get their
Mhm.
leftovers. And
Mm.
I've picked up some really nice artwork.
Yeah,
And I've been
furniture
able to use
too.
that. Yeah.
I was at a girlfriend's house the other day for dinner, and I said, "Oh, I love your new couch and chair." And we were talking about it, and she goes, "Yeah, I got that thrift store Treasures and More." I
Huh.
was like, "Oh, that's cool."
I actually had to cut back because I only have so much space to store stuff for
That's
staging.
awesome.
And I like it and it doesn't fit in my house. And I'll go, oh, well, I'll get that for staging.
Oh yeah, that's
And
a problem.
it is a problem, yes. But
Mm.
I do use a lot of it for staging, and I've gotten some great stuff. So certainly stop by if you're a treasure hunter. It's a great
Wow.
place to
And
pick up some stuff.
donate. We take donations,
Yeah.
and they all benefit both Miracle Center and Gap.
Oh, great, great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Christmas is coming. Let's clean out the kids' toy chest and make some room for
Yeah.
some new stuff.
They just do so much. I mean, having had Gap on our show so many times, I want to think at least 20 times we've had them on the Common Good Radio show. You've mentioned that you got the culinary program, you got the warehouse training program, you have what you originally started out with, the foster homes and the group homes,
Mm-hmm.
and then the supervision and teaching kind of parents how to parent in some capacity.
Correct.
And then I feel like we're forgetting some stuff. And then with the warehouse, though, you didn't actually get into who it serves.
True.
Yeah.
We didn't, did we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've opened it up in the since COVID, actually, because before COVID, we just shared all the products we get with other nonprofits that serve people in need.
Well,
So you had to be a 501c3 to come and then, get things. But then during COVID, we decided to open up to all foster families, adoptive families, and kinship families, which were like grandparents caring for the kids.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And so we did that, and we really found there was a lot of need out there, and people were really grateful to come and get a coffee maker or just the things that we get donated. We get a lot from Walmart. We get some things from Costco. We just we have different products, small household products, diapers. We get things like that too. So then in the last year, we opened it up to veterans, active duty military, seniors over 60, people on access, tribal members. I think I'm thinking of everybody. Basically, people that are struggling. And our goal is to help people that are on, just on the edge, to not go under, because there's a lot of people like that right now with this economy that are really struggling. And what I'm really proud of is that Matt Clower, who's the director of that part of GAP, he's done a great job with the people that come for help, end up helping in the warehouse. We have, I'm not kidding, we have hundreds of people that come and volunteer that came to get help, and now they are there helping serve others.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
I really
Awesome.
love.
Yeah, I
That's
mentioned
fantastic.
being one of those people, my favorite part of what you guys do, and I think the only thing we haven't mentioned yet is the Tuesday morning when you guys have the 22, or at least when I was last there, 22 nonprofits that come and get like thousands of pounds of food,
Yes.
just given, they pick it up and, they just line up to get this food and take it back to their different nonprofits. So
Yeah,
tell
we
us
do.
about that, please.
We've been doing that for a long time. One thing I love about GAP and the people that started Greg and Pam is their thoughts have always been that we're a conduit, and as long as God blesses us, we keep pushing it out. And if we start hoarding it, then we won't get blessed. And so it's like we share, and really we share with so many partners. I don't even know them all a lot of times until I talk to different department heads and find out, oh, we're partnering with them. I didn't know that. I mean, we just kind of do it because it's the right thing to do. And it's not even about, okay, we need partners. It's just like, well, there's people hurting. But so, yeah, we have about 22 different groups that come and get. We've got one group that takes it down to cells to the Indian reservation, really deep poverty in that area. Interfaith Community Services comes every week. We just have a lot of different people that come and maybe it all is perishables. And so it has to be bigger organizations that come and take whatever we have, we split it up on pallets. And so they take what we get. If we've got 10 pallets of eggplant, you're taking eggplant today. We're not you can't pick and choose.
Right.
You get it out to somebody, and it's kind of neat because we do get things like that are really kind of luxury items that people that get it are like, wow, I wouldn't have ever bought that at the grocery store.
I think those partnerships are really important. And you as such a large organization have an opportunity that smaller 501c3s don't have.
True.
And so I think it's really wonderful the way that you're partnering in the community. And it really is, you're more successful with them, and they're definitely, more successful because of what you're offering. And so I think those are really important partnerships. We wanted to talk a little bit about how people can help GAP Ministries. And I know we talked about this qualifying for the tax credits, but also not everyone is in a position to donate, especially, around the holidays. It can be hard,
true.
although there are those tax benefits. What other ways can people help?
Yeah, and for the taxes, remember, too, you don't even have to do it till April 15th when you pay your state taxes. So if you owe any taxes, instead of paying them to the state, you get it back.
So you
just
actually
keep that in
could
mind.
actually do your taxes, look at that number and go, do I want to give this to the state or do I want to give this to GAP?
Right. So keep
That's
that in
awesome.
mind.
Okay.
But there's other things you can do, like we talked about Treasures and More donating items or shopping there. And then we also have lots of volunteer opportunities. The warehouse runs almost solely on volunteers. I think we have 2 full-time employees in there.
How many volunteers? Do you track the hours?
Matt does, and he's told me, and I'm trying to remember how many it was last month. We call people above and beyond if they give over a certain amount or if they give 100 hours or more. And we had at least 25 to 30 people that give over 100 hours a year. We
Wow.
have people in that warehouse that work 40 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mac has been there as long as I've been there. He's been there 10 or 11 years. Retired from the railroad, and he works about 20 to 40 hours a week in the warehouse. So that's a fun place. There's always sorting to be done, and we can always put people to work doing that.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the kitchen we need help, cutting, dicing, filling up granola cups.
That's
things
where
like
I
that.
started
Is it?
volunteering. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For the people that love food and cooking, that's a fun place
I
to
just
be.
wanted to learn how to cook, so I contacted Chef John, and I was like, "Hey, can I help out?" And he put me to work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that, because the career training classes too, we didn't really talk about this, but they're free to people in need. So anybody and we've had people, all different age groups, and we've had women that have come in that were maybe divorced and were struggling a little bit because they had never worked, because their husband supported them. They got divorced. They're in a hardship and come in like, I want to learn to be a chef,
Mm-hmm.
and have gone through it. So, we look at, if you want to come in and talk to us and say, hey, I'd like to learn this, and I've wanted to learn it too. I always think, gosh, I wish I could go learn the 5 major sauces or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
yeah, so that's one way. And then Sandra and I were talking that we've been trying to raise a little bit of money just for the kids to get to do more things in our group homes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so sometimes gift cards. Each group home has 10 kids, licensed for up to 10 kids. Sometimes there might be 8 or 9 at a time, but up to 10 kids and 2 house parents. And trying to take a family out to dinner or the movies, I mean, just a family of 4 is a fortune. And so we really struggle with having enough money in our budget to be able to have them do fun things that families like to do. So things that people can do, like gift cards to movies, gift cards to restaurants, even just, Chick-fil-A, In-N-Out, things like that really help us a lot.
We'll talk a little bit more back about the tax credit.
Just that it's really, you should really maximize your state taxes. And we will do so much with that tax credit to help so many people. It's crazy. It's so many children, so many families in need. And we will be very responsible with that tax credit if you trust us with your money.
That's awesome.
Remind everybody again, please, Tiane, how to get a hold of you.
Our main website is gapmin.com. If you want to find out just about the tax credit, you can go to gaptaxcredit.com.
And
All
where's
in
your
one.
address, your location again?
2025 West Highway Drive. It's off of Prince and the freeway. And we're open Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And I'm happy to give tours.
Okay.
So
Nice.
anybody wants to come by, just give us a call at Gap and say, hey, I'd like to come see it.
Okay.
I think that's important if you're giving money to an
Yeah.
organization that you know where that money is going. So we thank you so much for what you do. We also would like to thank our sponsors, Horizon Inspections, Indy Realty, Inspired Life Mortgage, Rego Pest Prevention, Atomic Nutrition, and Sweet Little Chefs. We will be back next Sunday.
Take care, everyone.
Yeah.